You didn't click this by accident. Some part of you, deep down, knows you don't want to wake up one day, look in the mirror, and realize you lived the wrong life. That's how it happens. Not in a single moment, but slowly, silently, through 1,000 tiny betrayals. Every compromise you made just to belong. Every truth you swallowed just to stay safe. Until one morning you open your eyes, and you can't even recognize the person staring back. That's not fate. That's a pattern. And Nietzsche saw it, clearly. Behind his fury, behind the bitterness, was a single warning. You will either wake up now or suffer later. And if you're here, there's still time. The first truth, you were never taught how to think, only how to obey. From the moment you could walk, you were trained to conform. Raise your hand, sit down, be quiet, memorize, repeat. But no one asked you, what do you think? They only told you what to think. And worse, they praised you for repeating it. Nietzsche called this the death of the spirit, because the crowd doesn't want your mind. It wants your agreement. So people grow up believing that obedience is intelligence. They follow the rules, chase approval, mimic success, but they forget how to question. And when you lose that, you don't just lose freedom, you lose yourself. Because real thinking is dangerous. It challenges power, it threatens the system, and Nietzsche knew a life lived without thought isn't a life at all. It's a performance in someone else's story. And by the time most people realize that, they're trapped in a life they never chose. The second truth, most people want comfort more than truth. They say they want the truth, but if you show it to them, they'll hate you for it, because comfort is seductive. It's warm, familiar, predictable. Truth is none of those things. Truth is cold. It's ugly. It's inconvenient. Nietzsche saw it in every era. People pretending to love truth when all they really want is reassurance. They don't want to awaken. They want to be soothed. So they cling to easy answers, feel-good slogans, and popular opinions. Not because they're evil, but because they're afraid. But truth doesn't care about your fear. It won't bend for your comfort. It shows you reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. And most people can't handle that. So they choose ignorance, distraction, delusion, until the truth finally shatters their illusions. But by then, it's usually too late. The third truth, what hurts you is often what reveals you. Most people flee from pain like it's poison, but Nietzsche saw pain as a mirror, the only one honest enough to show you who you really are. To live, he said, is to suffer. To survive is to find meaning in that suffering. What you fear reveals what you cling to. What breaks you exposes what you've neglected. And what you fight shows you who you think you are. But instead of listening to pain, we numb it. We distract from it. We run. But pain doesn't disappear. It waits. It grows. And one day, it demands to be faced. Nietzsche didn't believe in running. He believed in walking straight into it, because only by confronting it can you become stronger than what once shattered you. By the time most people understand that pain wasn't their enemy, they've already lost years avoiding it. The fourth truth, the crowd is rarely right, but always loud. There's something comforting about the crowd. It gives you identity, certainty, the illusion of safety. Everyone agrees, so it must be true, right? But Nietzsche warned, the crowd doesn't think. It reacts. It doesn't seek truth. It seeks validation. It repeats what's easy and punishes what's real. And the larger the crowd grows, the more dangerous it becomes. He wrote, madness in individuals is rare, but in groups, parties, nations, it is the rule. Most people build their lives on the approval of others, never realizing those people were just as lost as they were. They didn't seek truth. They sought comfort. They didn't stand out. They blended in. And by the time they see that the crowd was wrong, they've already sacrificed their identity just to belong. If you want a life that's truly yours, you will have to disappoint the crowd. And most people aren't brave enough to do that until their time is almost gone. The fifth truth, Kindness without strength turns you into a target. You were told to be nice, polite, agreeable, generous. But Nietzsche saw the danger in this, because kindness, without power behind it, becomes weakness. Predators don't respect kindness. They exploit it. Takers don't stop because you're generous. They just take more. The world doesn't reward softness. It rewards strategy. It respects boundaries, not blind benevolence. Real kindness is not about pleasing everyone. It's about choosing when to give and knowing when to walk away. Because kindness without strength isn't kindness, it's surrender. Nietzsche wrote, "The weak are always forced to lie." Why? Because without strength, you can't afford to be honest. You hide your needs. You shrink your voice. You silence your boundaries, all in the name of peace. But peace without power is not peace. It's submission. The one who is kind and strong, that person leaves a mark. They heal. They lead. They change lives. But the one who is only kind, they are used, discarded, forgotten. And most people only learn this truth after years of betrayal. By friends, by family, and worst of all, by themselves. You've now heard 5 of Nietzsche's warnings. 5 truths that people only understand after they've already paid the price. But this is just the beginning. Because the next truths, they're darker, more personal, and harder to ignore. They reveal why your discipline disappears, why your own shadow keeps sabotaging you, and why people will say they support you, until the moment you truly begin to rise. If you're ready for that, let's begin. The 6th truth: discipline is not motivation, it's self-respect. Most people chase motivation like it's some magical force. They wait for the right mood, the perfect setup, the inspiring quote to spark them into action. But Nietzsche would laugh at that, because he knew the moment you wait for motivation, you've already given away your power. Discipline, he believed, is not about punishment or hustle. It's about integrity. The ability to act, especially when it's hard, is the clearest sign of self-respect. Think about it. You don't brush your teeth because you're inspired. You do it because it's who you are. You don't defend your boundaries because it feels good. You do it because they matter. Discipline is not about how you feel in the moment. It's about what you value when no one is watching. If you let your feelings decide your actions, you build a life on sand. But if you act from your values, even on the hard days, you become someone solid, someone dependable, someone unstoppable. Most people don't realize this until they've wasted years on broken goals, missed chances, and promises they never kept to themselves. They think they lack motivation, but what they truly lack is respect for themselves. The 7th truth: people support you until you threaten who they believe they are. Everyone loves the idea of your growth, as long as you don't surpass them. As long as your evolution doesn't disturb their comfort, their status, or the silent story they've told themselves about who you are. Nietzsche was brutally clear about this. Most people don't want you to fail, but they also don't want you to outgrow the role they've assigned you. Why? Because your growth confronts them with their own stagnation. Your ambition exposes their excuses. Your transformation disrupts the balance. So when you start setting boundaries, speaking honestly, pursuing something greater, some people won't applaud. They'll retreat. They'll mock. They'll claim you've changed, as if that's a crime. But this isn't a sign you're on the wrong path. It's a sign you've stopped shrinking to make others comfortable. And that terrifies them. Most people only realize this after losing relationships they thought would last forever. But those connections weren't built on who you truly are. They were built on who you used to be. And that version of you is gone. The 8th truth: your shadow will sabotage you if you refuse to face it. Everyone carries a shadow, the hidden self, the parts you were told to bury, your anger, your shame, your envy, your selfishness. Nietzsche, just like Jung, understood a dangerous truth. What you suppress gains power. The more you reject your shadow, the more it controls you from the dark. It leaks into your choices, your voice, your desires. It whispers doubt when you succeed. It lashes out when peace is near. It sabotages what you love, then disappears, leaving you confused and empty. People believe that being good means being harmless, but Nietzsche saw clearly. Real strength comes from knowing your darkness, not denying it. Imagine your shadow like a child locked in a basement, ignored, shamed, forgotten. It doesn't vanish. It screams. It breaks things. It demands your attention. But once you turn toward it, see it, hear it, understand it, it transforms. It stops being your enemy. It becomes your ally. Most people don't learn this until they destroy something precious. And then, too late, they realize it wasn't life that betrayed them. It was the parts of themselves they refused to face. The ninth truth: you cannot think clearly when you are busy pleasing everyone. One of life's most seductive traps is people-pleasing. It looks like kindness. It feels like safety. But Nietzsche saw it for what it is: a mask. When you place other people's expectations above your own truth, you lose clarity. You second-guess every word. You overthink every choice. You dilute your instincts to avoid disapproval. But people-pleasing isn't generosity. It's fear in disguise. Fear of rejection, fear of confrontation, fear of being alone. And here's the tragedy: the more you please others, the less they actually see you. Nietzsche believed that to know yourself fully, you will have to disappoint people. Not out of malice, but out of necessity. Because your authentic life will always violate someone else's vision of you. Most people don't realize this until one day they stop, look around, and ask, why does no one know the real me? It's because you train them to love your performance, not your truth. And when that truth finally demands to be seen, the people around you may not recognize it. Or worse, they may resent it. You've now heard 9 truths, each one a quiet scream from your future self, warning you of the cost of ignoring them. But we're not done. Because the final 4 truths, they go deeper. They reveal why you can still feel empty even after doing everything right, why attention is replacing meaning, and why Nietzsche saw death not as an end, but as a mirror. This final part won't just challenge how you think, it will challenge who you choose to become. Let's begin. The 10th truth: you can still feel empty, even after doing everything right. We're taught to follow the path, get the degree, land the job, find the partner, stay out of trouble, and happiness will follow. But Nietzsche saw the hollowness behind these promises. He believed that doing everything right often leads not to joy, but to quiet despair. Why? Because you can follow every rule, check every box, and still end up living someone else's idea of a meaningful life. You sacrifice, you strive, you achieve. And when you finally arrive, you expect fulfillment. But instead, you're met with a haunting question: why don't I feel whole? Nietzsche warned that this emptiness comes from confusing structure with substance, from trading inner truth for outer validation, from obeying expectations instead of exploring desire. And when that realization finally hits, many people are too far down the path to turn back. Most people realize this truth too late, when their life is already built, when the structure is solid, but the foundation feels hollow. There's too much to undo, too much at stake, so they numb the ache, or they try to start over. But there's another way. You stop asking, what should I do? And start asking, what's mine to do? That question is the path out of the void. Not more effort, not more success, more truth. The 11th truth: meaning is rare, and attention is a poor substitute. We live in a world addicted to being seen. Likes, views, shares. They feel like purpose. But Nietzsche would call it what it is: performance. Attention is cheap. Meaning is sacred. And one of the greatest mistakes people make is chasing attention while starving for meaning. Why do they do it? Because attention is fast. It's visible. It gives instant feedback. But it's hollow. And when the spotlight fades, as it always does, what remains? Nietzsche believed that meaning doesn't come from how many people see you. It comes from what you see when you're alone, from doing work that feels aligned with your soul, from speaking words that matter, even if no one applauds, even if they echo in silence. Most people don't understand this until they've tasted attention and still feel unknown, until they've been praised and still feel unseen. By the time they realize it, they've built a persona they can't live without and lost a self they barely ever met. The 12th truth: death doesn't steal, it clarifies. We think of death as a thief. It takes time, it takes people, it ruins plans. But Nietzsche didn't fear death. He saw it as a mirror, a force that strips away illusion. Because when you remember you will die, you remember what truly matters. He asked, if you had to live this exact life over and over again for eternity, would you? Most people couldn't say yes, and that's the point. Death, Nietzsche taught, is not the enemy. It is a mirror. It dissolves the noise, the excuses, the waiting. It asks, are you spending your time or wasting it? Are you loving deeply or just performing affection? Are you living or simply continuing? Most people only face these questions when it's almost too late, when they lose someone, when the diagnosis comes, when time shows up not as infinite, but as a closing door. And in that moment, the life unlived begins to haunt more than death itself. The 13th truth: your freedom will cost you everything that was fake. This is Nietzsche's final, and perhaps most brutal truth. He believed that to become truly free, not just externally, but psychologically, you must destroy every illusion that once kept you safe. Your false friendships, your coping mechanisms, your titles, your need to be liked. Freedom, he said, is never given, it's taken. And the price is everything that isn't real. Because real freedom is terrifying. It's standing alone, in your truth. It's saying no when it costs you approval. It's no longer needing to belong, because you've finally found belonging within. Most people flirt with freedom, they dip their toes in. But when the shedding begins, when the fake starts to fall away, they panic. Because the familiar, even if false, feels safer than the unknown. But Nietzsche believed, until you lose what was never truly yours, you'll never discover what is. And most people only realize this after years of quiet resentment, after years of wondering, why do I feel like a stranger in my own life? You've just heard 13 of the most painful and liberating truths people learn too late. Nietzsche didn't share these truths to shame you or to scare you. He shared them to awaken you. Because every truth is a fork in the road. Ignore them, and you drift. Live them, and you begin. Maybe you're not ready to change everything yet. That's okay. Awareness always comes before action. But if even one of these truths shook something loose in you, don't let it fade. Comment below. Which truth hits you the hardest? Which one are you still resisting? And if this video made you feel seen, subscribe. We're building a space for people who want more than surface-level advice. People who want to think deeper, feel stronger, and finally live differently. Welcome to the Mindscape. You're not behind, you're just starting with the truth.